Finally, I wanted just to come back to my earlier comment with regards to that one metric that matters. It's very easy to come up with a menu or a shopping list of different metrics. And you will. When you think about generics, you look at actionable, you look at, leading or lagging indicators. You will have a whole menu of different metrics. What you really want to do is rank it as your top 5 that you think is important, and then finally arrive at one metric that matters today. That one metric that matters today is the one that CEO is going to say to himself and the team that come rain and shine, that we need to make sure that this company hits this metric on a weekly basis. Because if we don't, it's essentially going to not drive the growth of the company. So often you get this very conflicting situation where all the 5 metrics are important and they all have to be worked on. Yes, granted, but what is that one thing? And here's a hint or a tip. It is never the lagging indicators such as revenue. It's never the total sales. It is often the one critical metric that's driving decisions today that will impact in the long term. So you got to think about that in a very strategic way. If I put all my efforts and resources today, for example, like lead generations or making calls, then I know that in 30 or 60 days, it's going to translate to contracts or sales. So I want to share with you a couple examples from a couple companies that I work with who present to me on a weekly basis a kind of a weekly KPI dashboard. So here's one company, and they are in the fintech space where they have got lenders and borrowers using a peer-to-peer blockchain-based business platform. So on the product development, they're looking at peer-to-peer, contributions. So the peer-to-peer, I beg your pardon, peer-to-peer module for the product, where there's a UI, UX experience. So here they have a target of reaching 100%, say back in March, but they have no change for the week, which is 0%. So they are struggling on the product development side. If I go down to, let's say, the visitor growth, which is basically the number of borrowers, they've seen a surge in activity because of the outreach marketing programs. So where they were looking at 172 customers on median, they have got now 222 new users every week, and that's on trend upwards. So, but the one metric that matters, which you see down there on the left bottom, OMTM, is the number of deposits they need to build a goal of $1 million for them to be able then to lend. And secondly, it will also trigger investors to come in to invest in the company. So back in March, the target was to get to $1 million, but they were not being very successful. So they've got about 100,000 up to that mark, which means that metric that really matters wasn't giving them the right efforts. Now, this becomes then a conversation piece where they said, what are the KPIs are saying? So they're saying, okay, new active users are up. We have no traction on product launch yet. We need to double down on the product development for the mobile app. And then bring out the conversation in front of the team. What was a big rock and to what extent you did to demolish it? Okay? And as simple as that, and within 5 minutes, you'll notice that each of the metrics on the left has a specific owner, and then the discussion is openly with the team. Let me give you another example. Here's a company which is tackling the duty-free aviation space. And you can see that in spite of the current challenging situation, they're making huge progress with the product development side. Now, how do you track product development? They break it down into mini milestones on a weekly basis so that they can actually reach the end goal, which is June 30th, to get all this out and ready to the customers. They have a few airlines who are their customers, notwithstanding what's happening out there with the airline industry today. But they have those prospects, and you can see how the KPI for business development, being lead generation, prospects, and customers, are trending on a week-to-week basis. So they have 30 leads, and they already have met that desired number. They have 10 prospects they need to have, which means they do a demo, they do a preliminary quotation on the software. They already have 5 demos done. And then in terms of customers closing, they already have closed 2 out of the 3 target. If they track this on a week-to-week basis, they know that they will be successful from that standpoint. And then we look across what the KPIs are saying. Again, it talks a little bit about, just in bullet points, where the success has been, what are the roadblocks, and what they need to do differently.